Okay, so you just saw how to apply keywords to your images. I haven't gone through all of the images and applied keywords or anything like that, but I did want to give you a sense of how keywords work. But the next thing that I want to show you is how you can go about filtering your view. And you can filter your view using all kinds of different criteria, right down to things like show me only RGB images, or show me only portrait images, or only landscape images, or, I mean, there's all kinds of different criteria that you can use to filter the view of images that you see inside Bridge. So, what I've done here, I already collapsed down my keywords down to the right-hand side. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag out the left-hand side. And over on the left-hand side, I have my filter panel open. So make sure you have your filters available. The very first category that we have inside the filter panel is the file type. And you can see here I have JPEGs. I have 31 JPEGs. And I also have Photoshop documents or Photoshop files, and I've got 5 of those. So I might be sitting here going, I have 5 Photoshop files? Which are the 5 Photoshop files? I don't remember those guys. Well, if I click on Photoshop document, a few things happen. Well, first of all, you can see that the main content view changes. Now I only see .psd files, or documents that end in the Photoshop native file extension there, so .psd. So there's chapter title, pen tool tutorial, scientist 1, and so on, right? So that's kind of cool. Where did all of the other graphics go? Well, they're still there. They're just being filtered. The view is filtered, remember, right? Now, the other thing that happens is a check mark shows up beside Photoshop document, meaning that this filter is presently turned on. Now, how do I turn the filter off? How do I get the view back to where I started? Well, you know, there's a couple of different ways that you can do that. Probably the simplest way is just to click on this filter once again. So Photoshop document, click on that again. The check mark disappears from the left-hand side, and I get all of my graphics back in the middle area, or the main content area of Bridge. So that's one way. Let me show you another way here real quick. I'll turn that filter back on just by clicking on Photoshop document. And I can also use this little fellow way down here, way down in the bottom right corner of the filter panel. There's this little, sort of this crossed out guy here, clear filter. Go ahead and click on that guy, and that will restore everything back to where we were. This guy's really handy if we have multiple filters applied. For example, show me Photoshop documents that are RGB color space and that are portrait in their orientation, right? Pretty cool. Okay, so we have the file type. That's pretty darn cool. Now, let's dig a little bit further into the filter panel and see what else we can do here. I also have keywords. So we were just talking about keywords. So I'm going to pop this guy open, and I'm going to say, show me any image that has buildings as its keyword. Well, there's our barn and our bridge. Or show me buildings and show me animals. So there's 2 filters applied. So there's our dog and also our bird image. I can clear these filters, again, by individually checking these guys, or by hitting the sort of the cross out there down in the bottom right corner of the filter panel to bring me back. So hopefully you can see the power of filters here. All right, I'm going to collapse that guy down. I can filter based on the creation date. What did I create on the 11th of November 2007? Oh yeah, these barn photos, you know, this sort of thing. Or I can filter based on the date modified, or the modification date. Here's what I love, the orientation. As a print designer and as a web designer, this is something I'm always struggling with. Show me only portrait images. Oh, it's telling me that I can't see anything there with my current filter, or landscape images. Now I'll make sure to turn off my other filter. There we are. Turn that guy off. So now I'm all the way back to where we started. There's my landscape images. Now I'm getting portrait images. So you got to be careful when you have multiple filters turned on. Or I have 3 square images. These 3 guys here, my robot, my scientist, and the shell.jpg. Pretty cool, isn't it? Now, you can explore the remaining areas, the remaining categories on your own. We have color profile and even things like ISO speed ratings and exposure time and the aperture value and focal length and so on. It's pretty cool stuff. Lots of stuff in there. Maybe too much, right? So, this is the last thing I'll show you here related to your filters. The other thing that I can do with this dialog box, with this panel really I should say, is I can head up to the panel menu, the filter panel menu, and open this guy up, and I can actually determine what categories are going to show up inside the panel. So maybe I never use model, maybe I never use focal length, I never use color profile. Well, I can turn those guys off if I want. So pretty cool stuff, filtering the view inside Adobe Bridge CS5.